dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Katie Cook. Last night, 20 protesters in Lexington were arrested, many of them charged with disorderly conduct and failure to disperse, after police say they breached a barricade outside the police department, and two of the organizers, Sarah Williams and April Taylor, were charged with inciting a riot. But different stories continue to emerge about what happened. Olivia Russell has more.
16 days of protests throughout downtown Lexington. Police once praised the demonstrations for being mostly peaceful, but Saturday night took a turn. 20 protesters were arrested, including sisters April Taylor and Sarah Williams. Both have been prominent leaders in the recent protests, speaking out against police brutality. Williams was even a guest this week on Kentucky Newsmakers with Bill Bryant.
Liberation and freedom from the strange fruit of white supremacy cannot come just from Black and brown people speaking up with our voices. It takes, our white allies standing with us.
Taylor and Williams are both facing charges, including inciting a riot. According to arrest citations, police say they encouraged protesters to remove barriers near headquarters. They claim Taylor made statements through social media and a loudspeaker, asking people to participate in arrestable actions. Our news partners at the Herald Leader are reporting that many arrests were made in front of police headquarters during a die-in, in which they passed barriers and laid on the ground for 8 minutes, the same amount of time an officer held his knee on George Floyd's neck. Taylor is also accused of terroristic threatening. Police say she told officers she was going to kill them. Other protesters are speaking out against the arrests on social media, saying Williams and Taylor were leaving as they were taken into custody. They were both released on bond Sunday morning. In Lexington, Olivia Russell, WKYT.
Lexington police are also investigating an incident yesterday morning after they say Police Chief Lawrence Weathers was blocked from marching. Organizers later posted on Facebook that he charged into protesters and ignored their demands. Well, Louisville police say they're not letting reckless driving go unaddressed in protesting. LMPD Chief of Public Services Amy Hess says they've been using their vehicles to stop cars from driving behind protesters. She says that's left some people angry, but after a mother and her 5-year-old fell from a vehicle and got hurt, they needed to step up measures. Hess says LMPD is giving a lot of leeway with protests. They are not requiring permits, but she says officers still have to do their job to keep the public safe. People gathered on both sides of the Big Four Bridge chanting and holding signs. Then both groups met in the middle and laid on the ground for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the exact amount of time a Minneapolis police officer held his knee to George Floyd's neck. People who saw the demonstration said they wanted to see more like it.
I think it's amazing. We need this.
And that's what we want for the city, just justice now and peace now.
Hundreds of people were able to walk by this demonstration. Some bystanders were heard telling protesters thank you. Well, we mentioned yesterday the Jefferson Davis statue is now out of the state capitol. It will be put in storage until it's moved to Fairview, Kentucky, where Davis was born. During the transport, people were surprised to find what is believed to be a time capsule inside the statue. In it, a cover of the State Journal from the day the statue was placed in 1936. There was also a bottle of Glenmore bourbon with a message in it. Now, the message was written on paper that was too difficult to decipher without special tools. Well, conditions are looking a little bit more calmer as we head into those overnight hours. If you look behind me into our downtown Whitesburg camera, you can see just those quiet and calm conditions there. So overall, looking like a pretty good night tonight, but we did see quite a bit of rain earlier. Looking at that satellite and radar, you can see those showers really did pass by, left quite a bit of heavier showers for some of us as well. But overall, now looking a lot more drier and temperatures starting to cool down
down anywhere from those lower 60s to mid 50s right now, and we are only going to continue to cool down as we head into those overnight hours, even dropping into those mid 50s for overnight lows. So it's actually going to get pretty comfortable. It's going to be very similar to how we've woken up the past couple of days temperature wise, so a bit on the chilly side for some, but other than that, I think it's going to be pretty comfortable and nice waking up tomorrow morning. Katie?
All right, thank you, Brooke. Kentucky's primary election is only 9 days away, but the last day to request an absentee ballot is tomorrow. Voting will be a lot different this year. Hundreds of booths have now been set up to prepare for the election, and there will be additional days added to cast votes. This coming Monday through Friday and the Monday after they will all have voting going on. And while businesses continue to open up here in Kentucky, doctors say we're not out of the woods just yet. Are we already seeing a second spike? Well, the amount of new COVID-19 cases reaching into the lower 300s on a daily basis is becoming a trend. But Dr. Ryan Stanton says we have been sitting at this point for some time. Many have wondered and asked if reopening businesses will lead to a second wave of cases. But Stanton says with the right protection, running out for an errand is not the worst thing to do.
The risk is actually pretty small with brief interactions. So like grocery stores, as long as you're doing, keeping the surfaces clean, wearing your mask, washing your hands, that risk is very small because we don't have that prolonged interaction. We know that the longer the interaction, the contact with it, the higher risk of transmitting it and getting it.
Dr. Stanton says as things continue to open back up, he's seen caution for the illness to go down. He wants to remind everyone this is still a sickness we're living with and it's not going away yet. With the number of COVID-19 cases on the rise in Harlan County, one organization elected to stop delivering meals to help slow the spread of the coronavirus. WYMT's Dakota Makris find out what went into the decision.
On Sunday's menu, pizza, chips, and a candy bar, all ready to be given to those in need.
We serve 55 elderly and shut-in that we deliver to each Saturday and Sunday, and then we have about 50 people that come to the church and pick up meals.
Due to increased numbers of COVID-19, with Love from Harlan is temporarily suspending meal deliveries.
We just want to protect the people that we serve by not possibly packing anything in on them.
A tough decision that needed to be made.
Very, very hard. We talked about it for 2 days, but ultimately we think it's the best decision to protect the elderly people that we serve.
To better serve those people during this time, each meal came included with 2 $20 food vouchers.
That makes us feel better knowing that they'll still have opportunity to have food and that we're not leaving them high and dry.
Continuing with curbside pickup for the time being.
We'll still give meals, follow also social distancing guidelines. We wear masks, we wear gloves. We do everything that we can to protect the people that we serve.
Showing love.
See y'all. Thank y'all so much.
With each meal given. In Harlan County, Dakota Makris, WYMT Mountain News.
With Love from Harlan says it hopes meal deliveries will return the first weekend of August. You can find them every Saturday and Sunday, except for the last Sunday of the month at Christ Church in Harlan in the afternoons from 2 to 3. The daughter of country music star Hank Williams Jr. was killed in a car crash last night. It happened in Henry County, Tennessee on Highway 79 northeast of Paris. Tennessee Highway Patrol spokesman said Catherine Williams Dunning died from injuries she sustained in the crash. Her husband, Tyler Dunning, was a passenger in the SUV they were in. He sustained injuries and was airlifted to a Nashville hospital. His condition was not immediately known at the time, but Catherine was only 27 years old. A long line of cars worked to provide more education on suicide prevention to Kentucky schools yesterday in Ashland. The ride was in honor of Connor Robbins, a 14-year-old who took his life back in March. His parents and many others are using his legacy as a way to spread awareness on suicide, especially in middle and high school students. They asked everyone who participated in the event for a $32 registration fee in honor of Connor, the number 32 coming missing from his football number. And that money will be given to Ashland Independent Schools and be used for counseling departments to develop curriculum about preventing suicide.
But we know that our influence when we work together can maybe help prevent tragedies in the future for other families. And I think that's a positive focus when tragedy comes, when you try to say, man, I know what that feels like, and we want to help prevent that for other people too. So amazing family here with an amazing community, supportive friends. It's great.
And Connor's family isn't stopping with prevention in schools around Ashland, Kentucky. His mom says she plans on working with state leaders to learn about what types of prevention is already available to students, and will then work with those officials to make improvements to prevention education. Coming up on Mountain News Weekend Edition, with summer around the corner, find out how to stay safe while hiking through the Red River Gorge.
And it looks like we will be seeing some more rain showers tomorrow. I'll provide more details on that coming up.